I honestly don't even really know where to begin. And that in and of itself is kind of a problem when you think about what's been going on recently in the community. To preface all of this, I am just going to start with my history with the community. On and off for a number of years, way back in the Don Miguel days, as I'm sure some of the older guard will understand and know of. I have been following and dipping in and out of RPG Maker communities here and there. RPG Maker is something that I personally have always enjoyed. It's something I chose to stream, and I've been doing that for almost 2 years now. I've got some moderate success with it. I'm nowhere near ninja levels of streamer and whatnot, but I don't really plan to be, nor do I care to be. It's, for me, about the games and the people. Granted, I've not always been the best streamer, and I have not always been the most objective. Sometimes emotions get into it, and that's just the way it is. So, on one hand, I can completely understand Yanfly's reaction. And yes, this is going to be a Yanfly video, so if you don't want to watch it, fine. If you do, great, man, keep watching. But I have issues. Not with the paywall. No, not with that whatsoever. In fact, the paywall is perfectly A-okay by me. And the reason being is because it is Yanfly's business, what he wants, or she, I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest. I'm just going to use they for the rest of the video. It is their business what they want to do with their plugins. We don't get to We don't get to decide. The community doesn't get to decide. Content creators like myself, we don't get to decide. It's Yanfly's choice whether they want to go behind a paywall or not, and I support that choice 100%. That's not the issue, though. The issue is taking the free plugins that have been available for years, moving them behind the paywall. Okay, kind of a dick move, but you know what? Again, it's their choice. They can make it do their thing. But in that, they're also continuing to alienate and basically foster divide within the community, and that is really starting to become a problem for me. Not that I don't think the community will, survive this. It will. The community has seen fractures and disruptions well before Yanfly. It'll see them well after Yanfly. The vacuum of free plugins that Yanfly is creating will eventually be filled in. That is an inevitability. There is no denying that. Yanfly is not the god of RPG Maker. They have been a wonderful contributor to the community. They basically put RPG Maker MV where it is right now. You cannot deny that, and I'm not going to try, because it's true. They have done some amazing and good things for the community, but they're also doing some really, really deplorable and bad things at the same time right now. Only 30 of their plugins, quote-unquote, will be free for the public. Okay, fine. When people went to them with civil arguments and discussions, they were basically shot down and told that, because 29 plugins were listed and people were wondering, what's the 30th plugin? They were, whether they were joking or not, they basically said the ---- file would be one of the plugins. And as many of you know, that is merely the plugin that anyone could make that separates and helps to organize plugins within your project. Okay. Then there's also the post that they made announcing the paywall, where they pretty much backhanded the entire community. Basically saying, in not so many words, that if you don't have money for a project, your project is pretty much worthless. You're never going to finish it. There's no urgency towards that because you haven't invested into it. Okay? I'm sure if we glance at Kickstarter, we can see many projects that were for money that have not been finished. Money does not create a sense of urgency, period. And then the other half of it was that the entire RPG Maker community is entitled. And you know what? I kind of do agree with that a tiny bit. We have gotten so used to getting free plugins that the idea of having to pay for something that someone has actually worked on is foreign to us and to a large amount of the community. And that's kind of our fault. But it's also, could be put into their court as well. They offer these plugins without any sort of payment plan whatsoever, offer them free to the public, free to use. And now they're taking them all back and basically saying, you know what, I don't like the fact that you guys, Well, what started all this was Yanfly accused someone of stealing their code. It was just an accusation based on some very flimsy evidence, from my opinion. And when it was investigated further, there really wasn't much to say that, hey, was this really stolen? It was still kind of a big gray area because it was very hard to tell if the code itself had been stolen. And if anybody had any right to complain, it was most likely Olivia, rather than Yanfly. However, as we all know, Olivia's plugins are already to pay for. Yanfly's were not. Now they're going to be. And I really don't know how to feel about that. I want to support someone like Yanfly, but I don't know if I can. Not with how they've been acting. They call the community entitled, but they've been going on like a petulant child who has been told that, you're acting a little out of line. Well, I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. They're throwing a fit, a tantrum, if you will. It's textbook, really, to surround yourself with a bunch of yes men who agree to your side, and anyone who detracts even slightly from your personal opinion and worldview, they are the enemy now. I realize that making a video like this, I am drawing a line in the sand. I am the one who is saying, no further, no more, this is it. And I'm making myself a target. And I don't give a fuck. I don't. And I'll tell you why. It's not because I'm some sort of martyr or hero for the community, or that I deign to be one. No. I'm just a streamer who enjoys streaming RPG Maker games, and who believes that hobbyists are just as valid as any other dev out there. I have played my fair share of stinkers out there. I played games that just shove the free plugins in like they're going out of style. Who are we, or who are you, to judge them? To say that they're not valid, that their hard work isn't warranted, isn't good enough. Sure, the games may not be the greatest. In fact, so we definitely know that they're not. For a lot of them, not gonna lie. But they put heart and soul into these. They've put their time into these. Whether it was for a cash grab, or some fun project that they did with their kids, or somebody trying to make a couple bucks on Steam because they have visions of, game dev in their future and in their dreams. None of us have any right to shit on that. Not in the way you did. And that's where I'm drawing my line in the sand. My own game is using Yanfly plugins. I have to. I don't know enough about coding to do the things I want to do. If Yanfly makes those plugins paid, I'll pay for them. But what I'm not going to do is take down the plugins I have on my server, on my Discord server. I won't put the link below, but I'm sure you can find it. You can find all of Yanfly's existing plugins as of October 27th, 2019, in their, in the way they were then. They're free to use with the same terms of service. I will not take it down. And I may lose friends over this. And I realize that. And I hope it doesn't come to that. Because I'm not doing this as a political statement. I'm not doing it like within the community. I'm not doing it as some sort of movement against Yanfly. I'm not doing it to anger the gods of the community or whatnot. I'm just doing it to make a point. You want to put your plugins behind a paywall, you do that, but you do it in the right way. You didn't. And this is, this is how I'm saying no more. I'm HawkZombie. Thanks for listening.